Good morning, everybody. We want to thank you all for joining us. Israel's ambassador to the United Nations, Gilad Erdan, will deliver brief remarks, and then pending time, we'll take one or two questions. Mr. Ambassador.
Good morning, everyone. I must admit that I'm deeply frustrated by these monthly debates. These debates here of the Security Council never focus on the biggest threats to the region, namely the nuclearization of Iran, the #1 global sponsor of terror. Nor do they ever discuss the true obstacles to peace in our region. Rather, these debates focus on biased reports singling out the most insignificant aspects of a century-old conflict. Sadly, this is precisely why these debates have accomplished nothing in decades. By putting this Palestinian-Israeli conflict under a super microscope, these debates end up focusing primarily on useless elements such as supposed municipal building violations and small local conflicts. This is a debate on the Middle East, home to radical totalitarian regimes, nuclear projects, and terror armies. But hey, if you prefer to focus only on the conflict of merely 1% of the region, at least focus removing its biggest obstacles to peace. And let me tell you, despite the same regurgitated false grievances that we hear at every one of these debates, the main obstacle to peace is not and has never been the Jewish presence in Judea and Samaria. Not only were Palestinians attacking and murdering Israelis long before 1967, no matter how many peace plans, unilateral land withdrawals, far-reaching concessions, or offers to negotiate were placed on the table, the Palestinians always rejected them. The Palestinian rejectionism and hate are the only real obstacles to peace. Yet, shockingly, they are never addressed by this council. They are always forgotten. But it doesn't end with only the rejectionism of peace. The Council refuses to address the Palestinian leadership's incitement to terror, financing of terror, payments to terrorists, or their cultivation of a culture of hate. Are these topics not worthy of the Council's focus? Removing these obstacles, or at the very least addressing them, is a productive first step. Yet this Council spends these debates analyzing biased reports, singling out only Israel. The thing that really frustrates me, though, is not just that the Palestinian Authority's hate and incitement is never addressed by this Council. It is that Hamas, the terror organization that rules Gaza with an iron fist, seems to not even exist according to the drafters of these reports. This is a terror organization that fires rockets at Israeli civilians while hiding behind its own civilians. This is a terror organization that suppresses the basic human rights of its people. This is a terror organization that kidnapped and tortured Hisham Asayad, a Muslim Israeli suffering from mental health issues. Sickeningly, Hamas has remained silent about Hisham's condition for 7 years, but they just released a picture of him looking dazed and hooked up to a ventilator. Look at him. Hisham's father, Sha'ban, begged to share a message with the Council. These are his heartfelt words to the Council that I played during my remarks.
الصحفيين في غزة. من المعروف لدى الجميع أنه ابني هشام من ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة، حيث أنه يعاني من اضطرابات نفسية وعقلية. وناشد مجلس الأمن الدولي التدخل وبذل الجهود بالضغط على حماس والسلطة الفلسطينية كي يطلقوا سراحه فورا، وعدم استعماله كورقة مساومة ضد الدولة في إسرائيل، حيث من الواجب احترام القوانين الدولية والمواثيق الدولية التي تحفظ حقوق ذوي الاحتياجات الخاصة. شكرا لكم.
Here is a father of a son with special needs that is begging the Security Council to take action. Hamas is using his boy as a sick bargaining chip, and the world remains silent. The Security Council remains silent. Where is the Security Council's statement condemning Hamas for torturing an Israeli hostage with mental health issues? Hamas is one of the most critical barriers to any advancement between Israelis and Palestinians, yet they are hardly ever a focus of these debates. If these debates aim to accomplish anything, the time has come for them to focus on addressing the real regional threats and discussing the true obstacles to ending the Palestinian-Israeli conflict. This is the only way forward. Thank you.
Ambassador.
Yes.
Time for 2 questions.
Ambassador, thank you for taking questions. It's Pamela Falk from CBS News. You cited the Iranians for saying that they now are capable of having a nuclear bomb. Does Israel believe that? And what is the alternative that you believe is an alternative to the Iran nuclear deal? Thank you.
Well, I'm not going to give an assessment whether they can already produce a nuclear bomb or they are closer than ever, but it's quite clear that they continue with their violations, they continue with their race towards the ability, the capability to produce nuclear bombs, and we truly believe that it should be the main concern of this Security Council. And we said time and again, and we will continue to say it, that the only way to force the radical Iranian regime to pick between their own survival as a regime and their nuclear ambitions is by presenting them with a credible military threat. Otherwise, they will continue with their aggressions, they will continue with their violations, as also was stated by the IAEA director, Grossi.
All right, and a quick follow-up on the hostages. Are there any negotiations to free the Israeli citizens held by Hamas? Thank you.
I'm not able to relate to this question, but as I said, it is one of our main focuses, and we call the international community that is, sometimes they are very quickly here in distributing statements about Israel and things that are happening in the Palestinian Authority. But here I show them an example of a human rights issue, and they say nothing. So we hope that the UN, as an organization that formally is committed to human rights, will do something about it.
Thank you. We'll take one more question.
Okay.
Ambassador, you mentioned 2 years, the Middle East has changed dramatically, the Security Council's approach hasn't. So I guess the question is, why? Is it because they're afraid to reverse course? Is it they're guilty about telling the Palestinians something they haven't told them in 50-some years? What is it about the Security Council that nothing's changing?
Well, I think they should be asked this question. We know what is the right path towards peace. We made peace with 4 Arab countries in the last 2 years. There are so many advancements between Israel and our new Arab partners. And there was also new advancement during President Biden's visit to Israel and to Saudi Arabia. We hope to see it continuing. So regarding the Palestinians, definitely, I mean, the approach of this Security Council is broken, because instead of focusing on the real obstacles to peace, like the culture of hate being encouraged by the Palestinian leadership, or the fact that there is a terror organization ruling over big parts of the Palestinian Authority, preventing them even from holding elections after 17 years. These are the real obstacles that this Security Council needs to find ways how to address. But instead, as I elaborated inside, they continue to focus on biased reports, on local disagreements or conflicts taking place in Jerusalem or in Judea and Samaria. But these are not the real obstacles for peace, because, as I stated inside, before 1967, still the Palestinians never accepted our presence in the region.
Ambassador, U.S. says the silence from Tehran means that Iran is not interested in nuclear deal, JCPOA talks. Is there any talks going on between Israeli government and the U.S. on JCPOA talks?
We do not intend to analyze the behavior of the Iranian regime. We can see with our own eyes the facts. The facts are that they are dragging their feet and not rejoining the deal, and simultaneously continuing with their severe violations of any international commitment that they had in the past, and they are closer than ever to acquiring nuclear capabilities and reaching uranium almost to military grade. And this is a clear threat against the security of not only our region, to the whole world, and it needs to be addressed by this Security Council, and this council is silent.
That's all the ambassador has time for. Thank you so much,
Thank
everybody.
you.
Thank you.